All right, welcome back into the program. Now, provincial New Zealand is where property brokers thrives, and their strength comes from provincially based rural leaders who understand relationships and trust at a local level. That counts for everything. One of those people is Gareth Cox, who's Property Brokers Canterbury West Coast Rural Manager. He joins us now. Nice to talk again, Gareth. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, Tom.
Excellent. So, West Coast, Canterbury. Geez, that's a heck of a region you've got to cover there.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. This morning I come there from a dry Hokitika. I drove through rain last night. The Canterbury's been had a really wet winter, as you probably heard. July was the highest rainfall month, but yeah, look, it's there's lots happening across our patch.
For sure. So, in terms of the rural real estate scenario or the picture at the moment in that in those regions, what can you tell us? What are the markets, the numbers, etc., telling you?
Yeah, look, we've had a really busy 12 months in the rural space across Canterbury and on the coast. In the Canterbury market, we've probably a game of two halves. Before Christmas, we had a number of properties come to market. We sold some of them, and then some hung over to the summer and autumn market. But yeah, it really strengthened after Christmas, and we were selling dairy farms right up until May. And also the other big news story, I suppose, at Canterbury this year has been the dairy support market, which has just gone from strength to strength. And that market's very active currently at the moment. The winter's been a very active market for us, more active than previous years. So we see that as a really good launching pad for the spring.
What's your when you look ahead, the new season, as it were? What are your sort of predictions around that?
Yeah, look, I think fundamentally things still look quite strong for the coming season. I know input prices have lifted a lot, and that's having an effect on farmers' cost structures and their margins. But look, we're still looking at a dairy price of close to $10. A lot of people have locked in forward milk for over $10, so that's really positive. And I think banks are back in the market and are keen to support farmers on good deals. So we're confident for the coming season that we'll see that the market continue to operate at the current levels.
What sales methods at the moment are vendors preferring, if any?
Most properties we're taking to market usually on a tender basis or auction, mainly tender in Canterbury on the coast due to sort of complexities around land use and irrigation schemes. There's quite a bit of due diligence that's required there. So yeah, we're tended to use tender as probably our primary sales method.
Okay. Any early listings in the pipeline?
Yeah, look, we've got some good listings. As I said before, we've got a number of properties in campaign in Canterbury at present, which is encouraging, and they're getting good interest. We've got a good number of listings already locked and loaded for the spring. So yeah, we think we'll be out of the blocks early, yeah, it'll set us up for a good selling season.
So if buyers are looking to prepare in terms of being competitive, particularly around that key springtime, what sort of things would you be telling people?
It's really important, I think, on both sides of the transaction that you prepare early. For buyers, you need to be talking to your bank and your advisors now around getting things lined up so that you've effectively maybe pre-approved, or sort of where your buying capacity is at, because often a lot of the tender campaigns are only 4, 5 or 6 week campaigns. It's not a long period, and banks and a lot of the professionals need a decent lead time. On the other side, for vendors, with a myriad of new regulatory sort of policy in place now, it's really important that you get your farm market fit before it comes to market, and that's around land use consents if required, and also know where you sit in regards to national environmental standards. This information is pretty much vital in any sale now. So having that prepared at the start of the campaign is really vital to get a successful outcome through the tender or auction process.
Gareth, when it comes to getting more information around all of this stuff, what's the best way for people to go about it? You guys clearly know what you're up to, and you're
Yeah, we
making
do. Yeah.
great inroads.
Well, our message all season, Dom, has been that the earlier that people talk to us and potentially gauge us in the process of they are thinking of selling, the higher likelihood of a really good outcome. So look, we're encouraging all farmers out there and growers that get in touch early, have a conversation with one of your local agents, or through myself as the Canterbury rural manager, or your local sales consultant, and let's wrap some really good people around you early on and get all those ducks in a row so that come October, November, December, those key selling period, that you've got everything lined up.
Perfect. pb.co.nz is the website, people. That's where you should go. Gareth Cox, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Good on you. Thanks, Dom.